Today we will be reviewing Tomoa Narasaki's warm-up routine, the good, the bad, and how each exercise helps you with your climbing. So first exercise starts off with Tomoa Narasaki doing this hip adduction exercise. So hip adduction is when you bring your legs to close. So you bring your hips into the midline of your body. And also this is good as well because he does something like hip abduction with this fancy machine, but you may not be able to have this machine. So what alternatives can you do instead of doing what he does here? So this is a nice alternative where you do hip abduction, where you're bringing your leg out to work on the gluteus medius muscle. You can also do sumo squats with this, so that brings a bit more holistic functional chain to this. Or you also could do like just simple dog pee or fire hydrant leg raises. This warms up the ever important gluteus medius muscle group, involves a whole chain of the sides of your glutes. So this is very important for climbing, especially when you're twisting in with your hips. More on this later on. Next exercise is a controversial one, so warning. So what he does here is with the machine, the way he does it is kind of dangerous. You're letting the machine dictate how much you're stretching. So he says here he's actually stretching his pectoral muscles, which is his chest, and the translation I think mentions his arms, but he's actually just stretching his chest. But the disadvantages of this is that you won't be able to control the way your muscles are being stretched. It's quite dangerous if you're not experienced, and if you don't have this machine as well, it's not going to be very beneficial for you. So what you can do as an alternative is to just find a little wall or resistance and just puff your chest out. You can also walk forward to get that good stretch on your pectorals. Make sure you puff out your chest, have a nice strong posture. You could also do this where it's a little more control. You get a good stretch on your pecs, although not the best stretch, but you don't need such a huge stretch in your pectorals because you don't need to flare out your elbows so far behind your body. So this is a much safer option for beginners out there. Next, Tomoa goes on the floor tube here to get his body slightly off the ground and kind of makes him engage his core. So if you're a beginner, you can just try it on the floor. That's totally fine as well. What he's doing is just loosening his hips, and we use our hips a lot in climbing. What I noticed next is that he likes to do a lot of these scapular activation exercises. Kind of jerky because that's just his tendency. But what you can do is using a resistance band to kind of activate your scapula. So you could do scapular retraction exercises with the resistance band, or what I call pull aparts. These are great for improving posture and getting your back engaged for the rest of your climbing. He also does a lot of breathing, so he's really mindful of how he breathes with his core. And now this one is called the Pilates inspired dead bug. So what he's doing is lifting his knees up with his hips, and he'll continue to alternate his hands and his hips. This is a great exercise originating from Pilates. As I mentioned before, it works the core really tightly, but it works only the front, so the front side of your body. Your core is extremely important.
I know a lot of you watching, you at home, are watching without being subscribed, and give this video a thumbs up if you like the video.
So another tip is to really kind of like squeeze your belly button, and suck in your stomach into like your spine while you do these exercises. That's more like the Pilates principle. Alright, next he does with the band, and he does this really quickly. I really honestly don't like the way he does this. Everybody is different, and you can benefit from changing the speed. So this is really quick. You can change it to really slow as well, to have a little bit more complete holistic training of time under tension and how your muscles are activated. So you can do this without exercise band as well. But this exercise is incredible for working your sides of your glutes, your gluteus medius, which are involved with bringing your hips into the wall. So like what Tomoa does here, he's always bringing his hips into the wall. The squeezing of the glutes makes you keep your whole body in line with the wall. Twisting actions also are very involved or require a lot of glute activation here. So especially when you twist your hips into the wall, especially this motion here, that's when you really need your glutes. There we go, that's a little bit more obvious way. So you can see, I think her name is Hannah here. From here, she's using her feet, squeezing her glutes to bring herself in. So she's pushing her forces outside the wall so she can keep her hips into the wall. Similarly with her right leg, she's using her gracilis or inner thigh muscles to keep her right foot and right hip into the wall. So they work in tandem together. So I recommend trying this exercise slowly, or maybe at the pace of how you would naturally climb, because you won't be climbing like that, right? Like what Tomoa is doing, unless you're Tomoa. The exercise he does is working the inner thigh muscles that we mentioned before. This is your gracilis. This is really important for what we showed before with Hannah's right leg. So for this instance, if your abduction and gluteus medius is working for your left hip, your gracilis and your inner thigh muscles are working for your right hip and right leg. So if you don't know what a gracilis is, it's the most superficial side of your inner thigh. So this helps with adduction. So similar to bringing your hips close together, bringing your leg into the line of your body. One recent example of the gracilis muscle is when you do these kind of moves on the slab. So when you're compressing your hips together, especially with Kokoro Fuji here, really having to squeeze this slopey volume with this another not very good foothold in order to rock his hips across. So both of his gracilis muscles of the inner thigh are working with his glutes being squeezed to help it stabilize. Really nice. And the video of our Kokoro Fuji video is going to be taken down, but whatever dude. Okay, next. So he says you can probably improve your slab skills with this, and it's very evident from what he just did. Working the inner side, again, try to keep it nice and slow. You can try this boppy style, but would you be climbing at this pace? Would you be activating this muscle at this rate and pace when you're climbing? Or would you rather be doing something at this pace? More likely you'll be doing something like this, or you'll be twisting and climbing at paces like this. So try to find the timing and the rhythm of how you would normally climb with how you would warm up. That's what I would recommend, instead of doing this bumpy style. Others might disagree, but whatever. Okay, this one is amazing. This core, I tried this myself. This is really new. I never knew about this. Again, another Pilates inspired exercise. So what he does is kind of has back extension. He does his breathing, but we're gonna skip over the breathing. Okay, he does a plank, which is cool, but what he does he does this really awesome exercise. So he wants to keep his hands nice and straight, staying in the center, having his head and his whole body nice and aligned. He doesn't want to kind of like shift his head out. So he even mentions that he doesn't want to kind of shift his head out. Yeah, so you want to keep nice and centered. You don't really want to like kind of stretch out like that. And to make this easier, you can bring your elbows in. To make it harder, bring your elbows out. I recommend starting inside first and then bring your elbows out. You really need to have your back squeeze, your whole core engaged. It's incredible. This is really effective and very similar to how you would kind of feel when you're on the wall in an overhang situation, or on a slight overhang, to keep your body into the wall, or hovering your hands. So Second Edition also likes hover hands. So when you hover your hands, you really have to kind of like stop and engage, find good footing. But you will find when you do Tomoa's core exercise that you'll find the same feeling as if you will hover hands. So it's the same kind of feeling of engaging your core, really staying over the hole before continuing on. So this is kind of like the off-wall hover hands exercise, which is really good. I really recommend this. This is new to me and I've been trying it and it's been amazing. Really fun. Okay, then next he does like other, I don't know, lat pull down machines, which you could do if you had the luxury of having a machine, or you can always just take an exercise band and hang it over a bar, a monkey bar, or just do your regular pull-ups. What he does here is tricep dips, very isolated tricep dips. In climbing, you don't really see this isolation of the tricep particularly. So maybe this is for him specifically. He's really focused on this triceps a lot. So maybe Tomoa has some purpose for this, but then again, it's very lightweight. He's doing it, you know, a little bit at a time. I really disagree with how fast he does it, but you know, to each his own. But I'm just really curious why he would do this isolated tricep dip. Something more climbing related would just be the natural push-ups. Push-ups or just tricep dips. That would be more climbing specific, especially for mantling. But he's isolating the triceps like this, coming down with it, straightening your elbows. I'm not quite sure why he does this, and out of all the exercises you could do, he focuses on this. So interesting choice. Next is toward the deadlift. Deadlift is amazing. I think he's really deadlifting quite a lot here for a warm-up, to be honest. But deadlifts improve your whole gluteal chain. The main idea for deadlifts is that you want to really use, put your weight on your heels, squeeze your glutes. And a really good channel for deadlifts and other finger-related scientific climbing kind of training would be Hooper's Beta. He's a really good channel. He's a super smart guy. He's super detailed. His channel, check out his channel and link in the description. And this is one of the last exercises Tomoa does. This is like a racer balancer kind of exercises, and it's just good to have fun with a little bit of motion, you know. And this one as well, this is really good. So what he does here is he does it in the sumo squat style, and he kind of keeps his hips level. He doesn't come up, stand up before going down. He kind of keeps his hips level. So this one has many ways to do this. This is like more the side to side lunges, side to side sumo lunges. So this works your quadriceps, your glutes region, your legs especially, but make sure you really want to keep your weight on flat on your feet as much as possible. That's the tip I have for you. You could try keeping your weight on your toes, on both toes, and that will have a different feeling. You will feel it more on your quads. And then if you try to keep your weight a lot more on your heels and your glutes, you'll feel it more on your glutes. So there's no one right way to do this. All variations are cool. Yeah, so this is the Tomoa version where he's kind of staying a level playing field. Or you could try the stand-up version. So you squeeze your glutes up, come up. And this is more climbing specific, especially when you're climbing against the wall and you're keeping your hips into the wall. And it's also good for beginners to try this version out as well. Okay, come to the final exercise. Is just pull-ups. So pull-ups naturally engage all the back, and all the good stuff comes with pull-ups. And that's it for my review for Tomoa Narasaki's warm-up video. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Let's climb together.